think, ma'am, we should start now. So,
Okay.
good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good
So,
afternoon.
with lots of network glitches today, so we are ready for this new session of next short sound. So, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Barka. Are some people here today who were not with us on Monday? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We
Okay.
have two people who were there on leave on Monday, so they are there.
They're back. All right. And then we have a couple of people who are not here today, but maybe they were there on Monday, right?
Only one is absent today, ma'am. Only one
Okay,
person is
good.
not there. Rest all are
Okay,
there.
good. Because this information is cumulative, the level of your acceptance of it mentally is cumulative, and you get a little bit more comfortable every time we meet. Although I know this is the fourth time we've met on this particular topic, so some of it probably now is, yeah, okay, I've got it. I will take that into account at some points, but I'm not going to gloss over stuff hoping that you know it, because there may just be one or two people for whom it's still, okay, I get it now. And so if you already get it, just be patient, because not everyone works at the same speed. And we have one more sound to do after this, the sound of short E, as in bed, which we'll do next time. Today, the sound is the short U sound of And when you say it correctly, you probably want to pull your tummy in. Then you know you're getting which is a slightly ugly sound, but it's what we have in English. You would have probably noticed that there are fewer simple words with the letter U in the short sound in English. You would have noticed that when you were doing the short vowel sounds in upper KG. We have to kind of stretch a little bit to find useful words. The letter just is not as popular in the English language as A and E and I are, even O. Maybe that's why it's at the end of the alphabet. I don't know for sure. Today we're doing the story Gus, and we're also doing two more. In this particular set of sounds, I put this book first, Fun with Gum second, and then Tim the turtle with the dinosaur friend last, because that story is more complicated than these two. So there's generally a method in my madness, even though it may not be readily apparent to you. But when you go through this stuff, you'll say, oh yeah, I see this is more complicated. So we're starting Gus, and here we call our group together and we show them the book and say, today, readers, we're going to read the story about Gus. And Gus actually is a caterpillar. And of course, you remember what happens with caterpillars. They go into their cocoon and then they break out and become, yes, they become butterflies. If you can tie this into a science lesson that you have done at some point, or even just a discussion of butterflies, great. So we show them the word cards. Gus is the name of the character. Fuzz, F-U-Z-Z, is a new word. And you'll have to say, fuzz, I wonder what feels fuzzy. And now, if you happen to have a child who has had his hair cut real short, you could say, ooh, that kind of fuzzy. Or a carpet is fuzzy, or even a wool jacket is fuzzy. Of course, if you're doing this in May, it wouldn't work, but anyway. Mud, they'll know. Bud, they'll probably know that, baby flower. Yum, when something tastes good, you say, yum, it's yummy. And tugs, be sure they understand that tug means pull. This is a good action for tug. So explain any of the new words, particularly go back and reference the way a caterpillar, who's a kind of a worm, eats a lot of stuff, makes his little wrapper, his blanket, his cocoon, sleeps for a while, and then breaks out of it and turns into a butterfly. No harm in just mentioning that. Post the word cards right there so they're visible as you read the story and they look at them. So let's do a picture walk. And so you do your picture walk showing each page and briefly mention, okay, here he is. And now I think he's taking a nap. And here he is breaking out and he's rubbing his fuzz and all of the words and the actions that go into the story. The more you act out the story, the more you have enhanced their comprehension. Because this is not about reading 8 pages. Gus is a bug. Gus has fuzz. Gus runs and runs and runs. Gus has fun in the mud. It's not that. It's, oh, Gus nips a bud. He eats a bud. Gus rubs his fuzz. He rubs and he rubs. And so we can do this. What else does Ray do? Oh, Gus has a nap. He has a nap. He naps and naps. Close your eyes. So you are acting out the story. This is an easy one to do. Not all, I mean, it'd be harder for you to act like a turtle sitting in the mud in the other story. But give it a shot. So now here are your books and I'll read the story while you look at the pictures. And so they do that. Go back and check the word cards again to be sure they've connected Gus and Fuzz and Bud. Now let's see. I'll read the story while you look at the words. Don't say anything out loud. Just listen and look. Okay, you read the story again. Let's talk about this book for a minute. Why does Gus nip a bud? Now, this is where they'll get further understanding that nip is a kind of a bite. They may not have figured that out till now. So why does he nip a bud? Why does he eat that? Oh, yeah, that's right. Caterpillars like to eat little leaves and buds of the flower. That's what they eat. That's their food. Spend a second explaining it. What happens while he's having a nap? What's going on? Well, inside his cocoon, he's changing into a butterfly. He's sleeping in a cover. It's kind of like a blanket, and that's called cocoon. They might already know that if they've learned about butterflies and caterpillars, but they might not. But if they learn it now, when somebody, you or the next teacher, does this metamorphosis of caterpillars to butterflies, oh yeah, that's like Gus. And if they don't say it, somebody should say it, because the whole picture of the story will come back in their minds and learning will be much more complete. Then they will read in a whisper voice while you go around to listen and make observations. And then when they go back to their tables, they do a work activity and then they read the story through on their own. Day 1 is to practice the vocabulary. So the worksheet has the words of this lesson, which they will cut out, and then they'll place them in the correct sentence. Gus is a, so hopefully we'll find the word bug right here. We'll cut it out, glue it here, and write the word, because we're focusing on words that have the sound. All of these are sentences taken from the book. In case the child wants to go back and look at it, it's fine. This is the learning time. So it's all the better if they go back and check, because there's no point of his cut or her cutting out and saying, Gus is a fuzz. No. Why? Why let something wrong happen when they can check themselves, or when the other teacher can be going around before they glue it and saying, let's see if that's what you really want to put there. So a little checking beforehand relieves you of having to check, do corrections. And oh gosh, what else? It makes sure they get it right. Wow, cool. Okay, on day 2, come on back to our quiet corner. Review yesterday's worksheets. Then add the sight words. His, has, no, and it. In this case, it will appear with a capital I because it's used in the beginning of a sentence. No need to make a big deal about it. They just need to see it and be able to read it. Some of these words have come before, but that's the beauty of sight words. They keep coming and coming and coming. If at some point you realize that your whole class truly has the word it or the or and they really don't need any more practice because they've surely got it, they always use it correctly, then don't bother with it. You save yourself 2 seconds of time. But until you're sure everybody has it, keep reviewing it. So let's review the story so far. What is happening in this story? Yeah, the Gus is there, and yeah, he ate something and then he went to sleep, yeah. But then what really happened by the end of the story? He's a butterfly. Okay, how else can we say that? Became a butterfly? Yes, he became a butterfly. Yeah. This is a story about a caterpillar who changes into a butterfly. That's what the story is about. So what is Gus in the beginning? Yeah, he's a caterpillar. And what's he at the end? Butterfly. Good for you. He's a butterfly. What can you feel that's like fuzz? But what is something that we have around us so that we know is fuzzy? Who knows what they'll say? Hopefully you have that kid with the fuzzy hair. Someone who's just had a real short haircut, or you have some carpet or cushion that has a rough edge. But they have to know what the word means if you expect them to remember it and read it. So give out the books. You read the story one time aloud. They follow along silently, looking at the words. They whisper, read again, and you go around and see how they're doing. For day 2, this is where they have to read the sentence and choose which one is correct. They can go and look in their books again. So Gus has a bug. Gus is a bug. So they have to circle the correct one. And at the bottom, they draw a butterfly. Just let them do it. Free time, draw a butterfly, name it, color it, make it as beautiful as you want it to be. Let some creativity add to their learning process. It's okay to do drawing. It's wonderful. And so they read the story with their partner this time, with their partner. On day 3, everybody comes together, review the words from the story and your sight words, quick revision, hand them out. Every child reads one, or they read it to their partner, or they read it and pass it and read another one. Whatever system works for you, keep it short, but keep it focused on reading this word. Give the books out to the children. Now, teacher reads the story, and each child has a turn to act out something. They don't have to read or say anything. They have to act out, because this has got a lot of action in it. So here's how we start. I'm the teacher. Gus is a bug. Gus has fuzz. Now on page 2, you can ask this child, okay, you can do the action. Now listen to what I'm going to say. Gus runs and runs and runs. Show us what happens. So he just takes a run around the little group. Then page 3, we don't want to do this one because it's Gus has fun in the mud. So teacher just reads it. Page 4. Okay, now you're going to be doing this part, Maya. Gus nips a bug. So Maya, or she has something. Page 5. Amit, you're going to be doing this one. Gus rubs his fuzz. He rubs and he rubs. So he just acts that out. This is a way to ensure that the words now have meaning to the children, because they're not going to be listening to you. They're going to be watching Amit rubbing the fuzz. Fine. We want them to do that. Ravi, you're going to be here now. Gus has a nap. Gus naps and naps. So Ravi's pretending to be asleep. And page 7 and page 8. So if they're following in their books, that's fine. If they're watching their friends acting out, that's fine too. All of this is part of learning. Then they will do partner reading while you listen to their partner's reading. And you explain the activity for day 3, which is similar, but now they don't have to cut and paste anything. They have to read the sentence and just find the word over here and write it. Gus is again, he's a bug. Gus nips a bud. So the words are here. And then the sentences are written. They have to draw what they understand from the sentence. Another way of you're figuring out what their comprehension is. Gus has fun in the mud. All right. So they can do any kind of a picture of a worm or a caterpillar in some mud. Doesn't have to be exactly, or shouldn't be at all like the book. Gus has a nap. Caterpillar with his eyes closed. Gus has no fuzz. Then he must be a butterfly. And day 4. Come together, review the work from yesterday, ask each child to show his drawing and maybe just tell quickly something about it. Just one. So if you have 6 or 7 children, each child can choose his favorite little drawing and say, I made Gus, and I didn't. Okay, fine. Review the vocabulary words. You cannot do that enough because they need the word and they need the sounds. The words they're learning in upper KG as rub, they will be learning in probably 2nd grade as rubbing. So they need to have the root word solidly so that they can then add the more complex forms of it later on. Now the children whisper read and the teacher circulates to make a final assessment. Day 4 is practice with the sound. So they have to find the 2 words in the line that have not that they have the letter U, but that they have the sound of Oh yes, well, we use the letter U to make the sound of So let's read the first line together. Bug, hot, rub, mat. So 2 of those have the short sound of So you have to circle them and write them over here. That's what your job is. So they do that great. Now they should really be able to do this quite successfully by this time. And they read the story with their partners again when they're back at their tables. Now, to me, maybe because I've done it so many times, this seems like a pretty easy lesson and a pretty easy story. So now dig into it and tell me what part might be a hurdle or a problem.
They will be able to do it very nicely. No problems in this. It's a very easy lesson. And they know that caterpillar will change into butterfly. They already know this thing.
Yeah, great. It's great. Yeah.
I have one question, ma'am.
Yeah.
During the day 3 bit, when we are doing that, the child will do the action when I am reading this story, and I, for example, Gus takes a nap. So in that case, when I am asking the child to do the action, in case maybe the child is not, that particular child also doesn't know what the meaning of that particular word is, do I, as a teacher, will help him by showing the actions?
In fact, you can start by showing what Gus is doing in the book. So let's say tugs. Gus tugs and tugs. So now remember, Amit, that tug means like pull. So can you show us if you had to pull on your jersey, what would it look like? Tugs and tugs. So you can demo it. And you can show, he can be tugging on his shirt or his jersey, whatever he has on. Tug is, that's a new word. And rubs. Now, they know rub, but to actually imagine doing it is, so you can say, well, no, Gus rubs his fuzz. He's rubbing the hair. He's rubbing the fuzziness on his body. So he rubs like this. Can you show us how that looks? I'll read it and you show us, okay? Fine.
Right, ma'am.
Right? We want success. And none of this is a test. None of this is an assessment. This is the teaching and learning part. And, really, if they don't stick with the word fuzz for the next few years of their lives, it's okay. I mean, it's really not a word that we need to use very often. It's good if they can read rub or tug, because that will probably come in other stories and to know the meaning of it. But, you can do 1,000 examples. We rub down with a towel after we have a bath, and mama rubs cream on our face. There's a million ways that word comes in. And even tug, tug at your toy, tug at your shirt. So try to go back to what is real in their lives. That's always the best way. Other thoughts?
And another thing was that when we discussed about the bit when the kids will be drawing anything they like, and then we'll be asking only one child from that particular group to discuss the drawing, or to the all the.
You could, whoops, where is it? I've got so many things here. I think it's probably, first of all, I keep saying 6. I know you're going to end up having maybe 8. So you can't ask.
Not 8, 7.
Okay,
7
good,
maybe.
7. Make my day. So you can ask, okay, now, would you like to tell us about your drawing here? Okay, great. Now, would you like to tell us about yours? Okay, which one do you want to talk about? So you give each child one chance. So and if they all want to talk about the same one, okay. Or you might say, did someone have another drawing that they like best and they want to talk about? Okay, you want to talk about this one? Just like that.
So the point is we have to give chance to all the 6 students in that particular group.
Yes, and again, maybe somebody didn't finish the work. So fine. Oh, okay, you can work on that today when you finish your other work. That's fine. Or maybe you already gave it to that child to work on while you were doing the previous reading group. That's the part, again, you all guys have to be relaxed about it. If they don't finish something on day 1, they can finish it on day 2. It's fine.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. You probably think that I've been teaching children in a tree in a jungle someplace, because I seem to be breaking down all the barriers and the walls. Now, I wasn't in a jungle and I wasn't in a tree, but I have been in an environment where we give the children some space, support, but space. And that's a thinking that I want you to work through.
Develop, maybe. Yeah.
It's just not something that immediately comes to you when you walk into your classroom, because you have been in charge and it's going to be that way right now. No. Who's in charge of the learning? The child.
Child.
Right? You cannot wind him up any faster or put new batteries in him. So the more you can relax about that and believe in yourself as what? Not necessarily a teacher, but as a monitor, as an observer of what's going on, and realizing, oh, this lesson was really great. Fine, we went through it super duper. Maybe the next one's not going to be so easy. So maybe I should slow down. Maybe I'll need all 5 days. Maybe I'll have to do revision. It's okay. And what you do in your classroom may be very different from what another person does next door. It's okay.
Yeah.
Everybody else okay?
On day 5, we are done. On day 5, if we are done with all the activities due to the lesson was short, or maybe due to the absenteeism, we finished the lesson in the 4 days. So we can do the recap on the 5th day.
Well,
so on
the 5th day, you probably better teach all those kids who were absent. Because if it's a time of the year when everyone's getting measles or flu or something, or bad tummy, and you've had 5 or 6 or 7 kids out, and even if somewhere this day and somewhere that day, get them together and do at least critical parts of the lesson again. You do the reading, you do the whisper reading, you monitor them, you give them the worksheets to do. They should not do the worksheets at home. Okay? They should not, because you know what happens at home. Even if they're still working on a Gus paper next week, it's okay, it's revision. And many of the words, the sight words keep coming in every week, so that doesn't matter. The reason I've given 4 activities for 5 days is that I know there will be times when you cannot finish either all of the groups every day. So you may have 2 groups that are a day behind, or they haven't finished all of the work, or you need to do some reteaching with some of the children who don't have enough English to be comfortable. Or as you said, Toto, you have kids who've been absent, or there was a holiday, or God knows, anything can happen in a school, right? I mean, the kid who suddenly throws up in the middle of the floor, now everybody has to stop, leave the room, I mean, the whole thing can go crazy. And don't think I'm making that one up, because sometimes they do throw up. I must say, in India, kids don't throw up in class as often as I've seen with foreign kids, but I don't know what the deal is. It's pretty common in the Western world.
And it's
Anyway,
quite common in LKG, maybe not in UKG, but yes, LKG kids too. Maybe
yeah,
the washroom bit or the vomiting, anything can happen
yeah,
in the classroom.
anything can happen. With little kids,
Yeah, even
one of, yes,
even they can split water over the floor.
yeah, of course, and their snack and different. One reason why little children seem to vomit a lot is they have phlegm in the throat and they don't know how to manage it, so they gag. So they're not really having a bad stomach. The problem is in the throat. So if they're coughing, and then you have that. So I'm sure Charles is having a lot of fun with this conversation. You have to have been a lower primary teacher to appreciate that this is the real world we live in. Right, guys? And it's a lovely world.
And the toughest job ever.
Totally. Prime Minister Modi thinks he's got problems right now. He should come to your class. Then he'll know what real work is. Okay, let's do fun with gum, because this, I think, is a real fun story. And there's some creative stuff at the end if you've had a look at it. Group comes together. So here's a book that you're going to read on your own today, because you're readers, and it's called Fun with Gum, and it's about a little girl named Val, and she's got some chewing gum. And oh boy, what her dog does with that chewing gum, you'll find out. So here are the words that you're going to need for this story. This is Val, this is her name, and here's gum, you know what chewing gum is. Pup, yip. Now, yip is kind of a sound that the dog can make. Jug, like a water jug to pour water. And cuts. You cut something with a scissor. I think you know these words. So just remember that gum, chewing gum, is sticky. And, did you ever get it in your hair or on your shirt? Yeah, it's kind of messy, isn't it? So here are your word cards. You can look at them as we're reading the story. All right, I'll show you the pictures and you look at the story as we go through. So you do your picture walk. Now, let's see. Here are your books. I'm going to read the story. You look at the pictures. Review the word cards afterwards to be sure. Now, this is Val, and this is Pup, and this is Gum. Now, when I read the story, you look at the words. If you need some help, look at the picture. Children read silently. You read it. Now, why does the pup run all over the house with the gum? Now, there is no answer to that, so accept any reasonable answer. He's naughty, he's silly, anything is fine. Why did the pup think bubble gum? What did the pup think bubble gum was in the beginning? Yeah, maybe it was a ball, maybe it was a toy, maybe it was food. Any reasonable answer. What will Val do after she cuts the gum? Any reasonable answer. She will punish the dog. She will put the gum away. She'll clean up the house, whatever. We want the children to think about the story. It's not enough to read the words. We're not doing word calling, fun with gum. We're reading fun with gum, and we're thinking, oh, there's a picture of a dog with some chewing gum, and it says fun with gum. I guess he had some fun with it. That's the thinking part of learning to read. Now you'll read the story in a whisper voice, and I'll come around and I'll listen and I'll make notes and so on. Then, if there's time, they turn and read the story with their partner there in the group. Day's activity, and they'll read the story on their own back at their tables. This is a little more challenging because now we're at the end of the year. We've had a couple of challenging activities. Here they have to cut each line out, decide which one happened first, next, and paste them at the top. Again, helping teacher, other teacher, friendly teacher, whoever's in the room with you should check before they put the paste on the paper, because that's the time they can say, wait a minute, I don't know if that exactly is what we want to say. Let's try it again. Let's look in the book. Now, for sure, both adults in the classroom have to know the story. So you may be taking the lesson today. The other teacher needs to be just as conscious of what's going on as you, and maybe she will take the next part tomorrow, or you may be absent tomorrow and she'll have to do it all. So I'm glad that for the most part, I have seen all of you sharing equally the activities in the classroom. But now that things are going to be a little more challenging, be sure that both of you are on the same page. And hey, if you forget something, well, let's look in the book and check, because I had to do that today when I was thinking, wait a minute, which thing happened first? So if I have to do it and I've made this stuff up, anybody can. So that's the activity for the day, and they read the story on their own. Next day, we come on back, we look at yesterday's worksheets and we see that, oh yeah, that's happened. You know, you pick up one or two or three and just, each child can read one sentence and, okay, so that happened next? Okay, you agree that happened next? Okay, and that was the end? Okay, everyone agree with that? Great. It's about them. We want them to have a chance to say, I don't think so. No, I think, okay, look, let's check in the book. Let's see where it says that. Yeah, maybe you're right. We'll see. You don't have to judge everybody's stuff right now, but if he has a point, and he's probably right, you can say to this, you know what, let's look at that afterwards, okay? We'll put it down for now. Never wanting to embarrass or stress out the child who's made a mistake. You know, we can probably look at that. Sure, no problem. I didn't say we can correct it. We can look at it. Because, you know, sometimes it happens and we adults are too quick to judge. Sometimes the kid has got some of his own logic. And well, you know, but ma'am, I think this happened and then that. Okay, fine. You know, this is not the end of the world. This is not a UN decision. If he wants to have this happen and then that happen, go with it. Basically, he's got the story. So what's happening in the story? We can talk, oh no, sorry. We need to do the sight words with the, on, in. Maybe they've got some of them and you don't have to do some of it. Maybe they've got on and in, I don't know. It depends on how much you've been doing in shared writing, how much exposure they've had even in their own little journaling. So some of it is up to you to decide. So let's talk about the story so far. What is exactly happening in this story? Okay, would you like to start? Okay, that's a good start. Someone wants to add to that? Right, I think that happened. What else happened? Okay, good. Fine, just 2 or 3 answers. What do you think is the strangest place for the pup to put the gum? What is the oddest place, the stranger? What is a silly place? Any reasonable answer. They'll probably say the bathtub or the tub, but they could say anything. Give the books to the children to, you read the story once aloud as they read it silently. Then they whisper read. Then you go around and make your notes. Then you explain the activity for today. And when they're back at their tables, they will partner read with their partner. Now, this is again, a phonics activity, a sounds activity. The top line, and you say to the boys and girls, here we have the letter U. We're practicing the sound. And first word is going to be up. So write UP, and then we write the word up. Cuts, gum. Oh, sorry. The next word is going, the next line is going to have the sound of ah, like cat. So val, and we'll write val. Nabs, and we'll write mad. The next one is again the sound of U, like hug. Pup, and we'll write. So you can go through this page. It's the letter U, then A, U, A, U, A. Revision of the A sound, now that we're even doing the U sound. I think you'll recognize that periodically there is revision in these activities because nothing is ever done. We always have to go back and bring it forward again, which is why this stuff with the sight words, they keep coming and coming because we're never done. And they'll become increasingly, you notice that some of them now are 4-letter words, like with. All of a sudden, 4-letter words have come into the children's thinking, or fuzz, F-U-Z-Z, nips, N-I-P-S. Quietly, 4-letter words have come into their reading vocabulary. So day 3, come on in, review the sight words and the vocabulary for the story. Review the worksheet. Maybe each child can read 1 line of words or break it up into 2 if you have more children. Give them their books. They'll partner read while again you are listening to how they're doing. Explain the activity for the day. Their job here is to look at the picture and write whatever sentence they want. It may not be exactly a sentence. It might be val, gum. If it's a child and you expect the child to know that it should say Val has gum, Val likes gum, I see gum with Val, whatever. If you expect that, then you ask for it. If you're thrilled that the child has written Val gum, leave it. Every child is working at a different level. If that very beginner child has figured out that this is Val and this is gum and can write it, you've succeeded in teaching that child. If it says pup, gum, okay. Or another child should say, the pup can run. The pup has gum. So you have this wide spectrum in your classroom. The main point, everybody is doing something and everyone's doing the best he or she can today. Today. And on that 5th day, if it happens to be Friday or whenever the 5th day is, you could take the child who has Val gum and say, you're right, Val has gum. Maybe we could write that. Val has gum. Do you know the word has? Here, I'll show it to you. Maybe we can say Val has gum. Would you like to try? Then you just leave that little sticky note that you wrote the word has. Let him figure out. Maybe it'll say Val gum has. Okay. You've made the first step in getting the word has into his thinking. Next time we can refine it. And I'm not interested in what the parents have to say about this. I'm not, and neither should you be. Because they automatically think their child has an IQ of 125, even though they have no appreciation of how kids develop their language. So, day 4. come on in for reading. Look at yesterday's work, have a chance to look at some of the sentences, and this is fine. If Amit has written Val, gum, you say, yeah, okay, Val has gum. Good. You've modeled the correct answer. That's it. Okay, Maya, do you want to read what did you think about this? The pup can run. Yes, oh, good. That's nice. All right, what else? And what do you want to say about this? Pup, gum, tub. Well, you're right. The pup is in the tub with gum. You could put some of those words if you want to. Just drop the idea. Don't pound it. Dropping it, they might pick it up. Pounding it, they'll reject it. So we review. Okay. Looking at the word cards once again, because vocabulary is everything. And now we assign the children to read a sentence that begins with that word. So you're going to read the sentences that start with Val, and you're going to read pup, and you're going whatever. So Val has gum, Val has fun with the gum. The pup reads the next sentence. And Val, then the pup. Now there can be somebody who's yip, 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 yip. That person will love it, will have the most fun. And then you can have someone who's gum. Gum is on the jug, gum is on the cup. Now it's Val's turn. Now the pup, now gum, the pup, Val, 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 the pup. So 2 or 3 kids will have a turn to read, and you can repeat it if you want more children to have a turn. When they're doing this sort of thing, they're much more engaged than when they're just reading it silently, because it's theirs. Explain the activity, which again is choosing the correct sentence, because the vocabulary is there, but maybe it has been wrongly placed. Val tugs on the rug. Val tugs on the gum. And this has an example given at the top. I don't always do that, but I'm trying to help you guys out. These kids are little still. Now, for this last page on day 4, you need to have a bunch of pieces of string cut up, probably I don't know, half a meter or something, because the task is for the children to stick some string around the picture of the house, kind of the way the pup was running around with the gum. It can be his own or her own idea of how the pup ran. It doesn't have to have anything to do with the story. It's just an activity to help them think, the pup put it here, then the pup put it here, then the pup put it here. So the child is thinking about the story and just doing a creative activity. So be prepared, it'll be a little sticky that day because there'll be some string and glue and yuck. And they'll read with their partners when they get back to their seats. Because of things like this, string and glue, you definitely need to be well prepared in advance for these lessons, okay? And however you can put a sticky note, you can put a flag, you can put a reminder in your computer, whatever system works for you. But try never to be that teacher who, oh my God, I didn't get the string. And oh, I want string, ma'am, I want string. Don't let that happen to you. You can avoid it, okay? All right, questions about fun with gum? You like the story?
Yes,
You
we
think-
also like the story, and our kids will like the
Love it.
story a lot,
Love
I think, because they will love to see what happens exactly with the gum.
Yeah.
And
And I'm
particularly
sure
the last
they
activity which they are going to do with the string and just portrait how the gum will go, that they are going to love that.
Yeah.
I think they are definitely gonna trouble their parents by doing this at
Uh-huh.
home.
Yes, I think so. Great. Yeah, and so hopefully the parents will be smart enough to give them an old newspaper and say, you can stick your string on an old newspaper. I wish our parents were as smart about these things. as you teachers can be. Because it may be that they'll want to do more, ma'am. Can we do more? Can we do another one? Yeah. So as usual, I'm asking you to have pictures cut out or torn out of a magazine that they can do it on, something like that. They can ruin it. It can be a mess. It's fine. But if you're prepared with some of this stuff beforehand, maybe they've done a whole bunch of drawings and you've just kept them. Oh, why don't you take a drawing from your box and go ahead and put string on it? Have yourself ready for this sort of activity. Then there'll be plenty of stuff for them to do while you're with the next group. And this will be meaningful activity because it's creative. They're thinking. They're also quiet, which is a good part. Okay. So, other thoughts on this one?
Ma'am, if we can please discuss the line pattern which we are giving for writing to them.
For handwriting.
Yeah.
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 Well,
What the ones which is there.
yeah, well, here, I can just show you. This is a leftover cut piece from something I've done for first grade. Now, ultimately, at whenever I can, I don't know when that's going to be because I still have finishing first grade and working on second. But anyway, I have a plan to create the handwriting booklet or handwriting plan for you all. And it is using this kind of line. Let's see what a full line looks like. Yeah. The paper, now your children will not be using such a long line. They'll have a very short amount of space to write a couple of letters every day. And I'm in your lesson plan or curriculum guide, one of them, curriculum map, it indicates the handwriting progression. And we're going to do that. So you'll have something to work on. And the children will be using guided lined paper so that, let me just write one letter. I'm sure I've shown you this before, but so that they would be writing a word like this. They'd be writing top, and the guides there show them the T takes the whole space, and the cross of the T is in the middle. The O just takes the bottom part, and the P is here, and there's a space where the tail can hang down. So all these little markers on the page will guide the child, and it is fat lining. It's not those skinny little lines that are almost impossible for them to see and for them to function in with these teeny little hands that are not yet developed. So on these pages where I have used that kind of paper, it'll be in conjunction with the handwriting lessons that you'll be teaching or that they'll just be doing. I mean, after you introduce it, they can do it basically. But there is an instructional piece. Yeah, go ahead.
There is one more question. What if the child is not writing in the correct lines?
Okay. So when we're actually doing handwriting, that's the time to be observing and guiding and correcting. Sometimes in the excitement of doing something here, they don't do the most exact and careful handwriting. So what is this lesson about? Well, this lesson is about reading and writing, thinking. So if some of the handwriting isn't perfect, if you have the occasion, if you have the time, if you're with the child for some other purpose, you can say, I just noticed here that some of the sizing is not quite right. So could you just be a little careful next time? Mm-hmm. Or maybe the letter is backwards or whatever you want to point out. But if the sentence is fabulous, Tim is in the mud, what we're really looking at is that. So if a couple of the letters are kind of screwy, I'd leave that for now. But when you're doing the handwriting lesson, yeah, they need to be pretty accurate. Yeah, okay, now, again, sorry, I have to let the dog out. Think of your next question. Out. Sorry, he's so in love with me. Yeah, next.
So, ma'am, we are using 3-line pages, 3 lines for written part.
Well, there's the guideline for the top and a guideline for the bottom, and the dotted line in the middle just shows them where the middle of the letters are. And that the lowercase letters, the small letters like O and A and E, are on the lower half, and some tall letters and some hanging letters. But the size of this is right for their motor development at this age.
Okay.
Have you not used paper like this before?
No, we are using 4 lines actually.
Yeah, well, okay. I've had lots of conversations here. I think I have it with Barka about that. And I have this from you all.
Right now.
Then I sent her a bunch of sample handwritings, and she and maybe somebody else came back saying that they liked the one I was showing. So you guys decide, but this is considered, what I just showed you, the correct form for kindergarten. The lines become smaller, of course, as children go up the grades. But to learn how to write the English letters, this size seems to be fairly universal and appropriate. Now, I don't know if you have a whole bunch of books already printed, or, I mean, in the reading material, you're getting this stuff, so you won't have to make any changes. You're just going to get this as it is. Handwriting, you will also get. The handwriting will come to you in the whatever format you all decide, so you won't have to worry about that. Journals don't have any lines, so they can do whatever they want in the journal.
Right.
So you guys are kind
Thank
of
you.
free. Yeah, you know.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
But when we are doing beginning sound and ending sounds, so at that time we won't have these printed three line.
Do you want them? You can have them.
But
Okay.
why will you not have?
I mean, you can have it.
Okay,
You'll
ma'am.
have handwriting.
Yeah, you can have it anytime.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Again, we have to decide what is the focus of a particular lesson. When we're focusing on the beginning sound of B, yes, we show them. Now, actually, that's a lower KG thing. We show them what it looks like. We show them the sound. We use it in lots of with baby, bottle, baba, all that stuff. And we have them do it with paint. We have them do it with plasticine. Even some of the teachers I've seen have them put like bindis around to make a B. That's just getting the mental image of what this B thing is like. I don't expect very young children to have good control over forming the letters. I don't expect that. Again, even in Hindi, your letters have straights and curves and angles. It's tough for little hands. So really, handwriting of a serious nature can only begin when they're about in upper KG, 4.5, 5. And even that's a little early, but okay, I'll go with it. Therefore, you'll have a handwriting system, just like the other classes above have a spelling system. You'll have that. So you probably won't need it right away. So I'll get it. I'm kind of, there's a lot going on. Okay, does that help? Does that, I mean, are you relaxed a little?
Yeah. So here again, I request everyone to go through the curriculum map once again. You will get a clear understanding how there is handwriting, how the sounds are going, how are we doing beginning, ending. You should go through all the 3 grades, nursery, LKG and UKG, and in fact, beginning of grade 1, you will get a very good understanding how the progression is going and what all doubts. Then also you might have some questions and doubts, and we can discuss those in any of the sessions, so that things get clear before we start with the next session.
Yeah. Thank you, Barka. If you all haven't, I mean, we've gone through the curriculum map together way back. Maybe, we've all forget stuff. So maybe it's not so fresh in your mind. But when you have questions like this, go back to the curriculum map Okay, basically this is what we've agreed to. Then go to the lesson plans for your grade level, let's say upper KG. Oh, okay, well, what are we actually doing? Oh, yeah. Now we've talked about this, we've talked about this. Oh, okay. Now that was all theory, mental, imaginary. Now you've got some concrete stuff. You've actually seen the papers, you've seen the books. When you go back to look at the general outline, oh, okay, I get it now. Do yourself a little favor and spend an hour just doing that at some point, okay? And then bring your questions.
Yeah, and you don't have to go to multiple places. Just go to the curriculum mapping document. Everything is there in that particular folder. Just one folder you have to visit.
Good. That's easy. Okay. Now, the last book for the short U sound of is Tim. Now you notice it's Tim, which is the I sound. Another example of revision. Many of the sounds will come back in this story. A is there, I is there, is there. And a lot of your sight words, has, is, in, the, on the very first page. All of that appears. So this should help you to be a little less concerned about how we teach sight words. You're teaching them every single day. Woo, great. Call the group together.
So we have 2 books only.
No,
So
3.
we have 2 books for short. So
No,
Tim
3.
is also for
because
short.
Tim is actually, it's about a turtle who's in the mud. So the main story is the mud bit, huh? Bug and mud and sit up and stuff like that. So, and tug. So all of these are there. But luckily, it also revises so much of what we've already done. So in a way, it pulls it all together. And considering that now we're at the sound of you, there's only one more to do, eh. So in a little bit of a way, this is revision.
Right.
Makes your life easier because you don't have to plan revision. The revision comes within the lessons itself, which is like really important.
Right.
So boys and girls, since you'll be reading books by yourselves now that you're readers, today we're going to work on the book called Tim. Now, Tim is actually a turtle and he has a problem and then he meets a friend called Al. We've met Al before, so it'll be fun to see him again. So these are the words that you need. Tim, he's the turtle. Tug, we've talked about tug, it means pull. Big, you know the word big. And did. Okay, note to teachers, in all of this stuff in upper KG, they are not teaching past tense. So in order to show something that happened before, even a minute before, they're using the word did. So like he did run, let's say. Sometimes they say ran, or it's exactly in here. He did something. He did tug on Tim. They don't want to say tugged, which is really correct, because the kids haven't learned the past form of that verb. So he did tug on Tim. When a child or an adult has sophisticated grasp of the language, he would not use that form. I did bring my bag. That should not be spoken after me. Your kids will say that, but from class 1, I brought my bag, because they begin to at least say the past tense, even if they can't read it or write it. But in these books, the use of did functions as a past of the verb. You don't have to say anything about this, but I'm pointing it out to you because you might wonder, why did the bug did tug? Well, that's why. So those are the words. Explain any new words. Remind students that, Tim is a turtle. We use that word here. And they like to eat bugs. So I guess there's going to be something about bugs in this story. So here are your word cards. I'm keeping them right here next to us so you can look at them. Note to teacher. Day 1 and day 2 will only cover pages 1 to 7, because in these books, the stories are longer and we want to focus. So let's look at the pictures in our story, just pages 1 to 7. So you go through it and say, okay, yeah, so there's Tim. He's having a nap in the mud. Oh, a bug came on him. I don't think Tim liked that. He ran to try to nip that bug. But the bug went to the log. Now Tim is trying to get that bug. The bug went inside the log. Now Tim can't get the bug. He's so upset. So that's what our story is about. I'll read the story while you look at the pictures. Follow along. So hand out the books, you read the story aloud, they look at the pictures. At the end, check back with your word cards that everybody's okay with Tim and Bug and so on. Now I'll read the story one more time. You follow very carefully. Don't say anything. So now let's talk about the story. Why was Tim mad? Yeah, that bug woke him up, didn't he? Tim was having a nap. The bug woke him up. So what did Tim try to do? He tried to nip the bud. He tried to eat the bud. He tried to catch the bud. Do a little activity here, huh? Now, what happened on the log? Do you remember that part? You want to look at that again? Yeah, so here's what happened. The bug flew over to the log and hit inside it. You know, log is like an empty tree trunk. So here's the bug went inside. Tim couldn't get him. Tim didn't like that at all. So remember, Tim got up on top of it and he was trying to get the bug. I don't know if we got him or not. We'll find out tomorrow. So you'll read the story in a whisper voice and I'll come around and listen to you and you will make notes as you go along and then do the activity. And when you're back at your seats, read the story, but just pages 1 to 7. Okay, promise, just pages 1 to 7. Because you know they're going to look ahead anyway. But so this is the activity. Just like we had before, write one sentence about the picture. So Tim is in the mud, or Tim is asleep, or the bug is on Tim. Tim gets the bug. Bug goes to the log. Tim goes to the log, whatever. As long as it makes some sense. Tim mud. Okay. Tim bug. Okay. Tim bug. So at that point, one of the teachers wants to intervene and say, yes, you're right. The bug is on Tim. Do you think we can sort of try to say that? The bug is on Tim? You go ahead and try. I'll come back in a minute. Now here, Tim runs to the bug, or Tim ran to the bug, or Tim nips the bug. Try to get them to expand what they've written. Give a suggestion. I'll come back and see how it's going. Don't stand there while they try to do it. That's so intimidating. Already he knows it hasn't worked out. Now you're going to stand and watch him? It's terrifying. Accept the best possible effort. And read the pages 1 to 7. Next day. So let's look at what we did yesterday. So you have a few sheets and maybe some which have really interesting sentences and some which are just beginning and some which are not even finished. Very likely. So okay, Amit, so what did you think was happening here? Would you like to read it to us? Tim nips the bug. Okay, fine, nips the bug. Okay, Maya, what do you think is happening here? Okay, and she says whatever she has to say. 2 or 3 kids, that's enough. Sight words. Has, the, it, was, but. Now we've had some of them before. But might be new, but we've had some of them before. So you're just revising them, you're just keeping them there and reminding the children. Okay, so wait a second now. Who's in this story? Okay, yeah, there's Tim is there and the bug. All right, that's right. What does Tim want to do? What does he want to do? He wants to run. Yeah, he does. He wants to run. What else does he want to do? He wants to eat. Say that again. What does he want to eat? Yes, he wants to eat the bug. Good. Wow. Where did that bug hide? All right. Can you make a little sentence? Don't just say the log, right? He wants to hide in the log. Yes, that's right. He hides in the log. Good. Hides is not in the story, but that's okay. They can use a normal word. The bug hides in the log. The bug hid in the log. Goes to hide in the log. Their own sentences. Remember how important speaking and listening is? Having children speak in their own natural language. Because we're not trying to get them to mug up this dialogue, please. Here are your books. I'll read the story, page 1 to 7, and you read it along silently. Don't make any noise. Then after that, you ask them to whisper read, and you go around and listen to them. So today, boys and girls, this is what we'll be doing back at your tables. So here are the words from our story: bug, mud, hid, nip, top, log, bug, up, bug, log, bug. Bug, 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 because they're going to need it 2 or 3 times. So rather than confuse them, every time it's required, it's written there. If you want to suggest, or the other teacher wants to suggest, once you've used a word, cut it, strike it, mark it through. So Tim is in the. Now, how does the story start? Where is Tim when the story starts? Yeah, he's in the mud, huh? So let's find the, oh, there it is, mud. So we write it here. And then we've used mud, so strike it off. It just helps them a little bookkeeping to keep them going. And then they read the story with their partner, page 1 to 7. Next day, some new vocabulary for the rest of the story. Log, him, fit, and tug. Now, some of it's come before. Review. So review yesterday's words and these 4 sort of new words. Review the worksheet from yesterday, having one child maybe read each line, read the sentence. Further practice on reading and recognizing the vocabulary. So day 3 will only be pages 8 to 16. I'm going to focus here. So let's look at the pictures in the second part of the story. So I'm going to show you page 8, and that's now. Oh, look, he jumps off the log. Oh, no. But you know, when turtles fall on their back, they can't get up by themselves. And what's going to happen to them? So you show each picture, and finally, our old friend Al comes along and helps them to get up, and they become pals. So here are your books. I'll read the story while you look at the pictures. Teacher reads, look at the pictures. Check your word cards. Now, I'll read the story again, and you look at your words and listen. You look at the words on the page, but don't say anything. After that, they whisper read pages 8 to 16, and you circulate. Okay? The activity is similar to the first day, where they write something about the picture. Now, these 2 pictures are the same picture, but 2 different things happen. So first, of course, they see that Tim is hot. Then here is Al. Then Al tips Tim. Al, I think he has to tip him or tug him. He has to do 2 different things. So they go to the center of the book, and they have to see. He has to tug, yeah. Al can tip him, Al can tug him. Tip, tug, tip, tug. Although you would probably accept any reasonable sentence. And now they are pals, and they sit in the mud. Or any reasonable sentence. I know I'm giving you something very open-ended, which you're not used to. And the children in your class are not doing formal writing. They're doing journaling, but they're not doing formal writing. This is as close as they come to formal writing. So yes, you want to intervene and help them to get the or and or is or was. You want them to do that. But it's a drip by drip process. It may happen for some children straight away and consistently, and it'll happen very slowly for some children. Do not feel that you are missing something or you're not doing your job. Say to yourself, I'm guiding this child, and I see that compared to last week, his sentence is a little bit stronger. Next week, it'll be a little bit stronger. Go slow, because there's no point in giving him a sentence, Tim is in the mud, and asking him to copy it, because that's your sentence. Oh, it'll be there on the paper and it'll look smashingly wonderful. But so what? He hasn't learned anything from doing that. Better that he writes Tim in mud. Okay, good. Yeah, Tim is in the mud. Next time, maybe we'll say is also, okay? Leave it, dropped it, moved on. And maybe you'll come back one day and find that he's actually snuck it in. And probably the S will be backwards, but that's okay too. So they've done that, and they read the story, 8 to 16 on their own. Yeah, they read the story 8 to 16 on their own. Day 4. Come on over, folks. Look at the worksheet from yesterday. Each child gets to read one sentence. If you ask, would someone like to read about this? Fine, go ahead. Would someone like to read about this? You won't be putting anyone on the spot, and they'll be more ready to do something. Oh, you haven't had a turn. Would you like to do one of these? Which one do you want to do? Okay, go ahead, do this one. It doesn't matter if you do them out of order. You're trying to get a kid who doesn't very often volunteer because he particularly liked that bit. Go ahead. Yes, they're pals, they're friends. They want to play together, don't they? Good. An ounce of encouragement is worth a pound of any other kind of thing you can give them. So we review that. Partners read the story page by page, and you circulate. If you think you have time for them to read the whole story today, great. If they can only read the first half of it, okay. They can read the second half when they go back to their tables with their partners. Think it through reasonably and pace it according to what your timetable and your kids can do. It says they'll do the worksheet and return to their seats to read the story individually. Okay, but if you haven't been able to finish the partner reading, then let them do that at their tables. Or if they finished it, or it's going too slowly, say, great, we'll do some more of that tomorrow. When you go back to your tables, now each one of you read the story to yourself. You can make some choices, but please make choices that are meaningful. Don't just, drop of the hat, I think we'll do this. Think it through, have a rationale for it. And today, the worksheet is simply, again, practicing the vowel sounds. So we have rub, nap, mud, pal. We want to find the two that have the short U sound like hug or pub. Make your belly go in, and you can tell that to the children too. They'll laugh and they'll love it, and then they'll remember it. I don't know if you can see me do this, but I used to show them the letter U with my hands. It's kind of makes the letter U this way, and I'd hold it down under my belly and say, and It's kind of like, Santa Claus shakes his belly. That's why you teach kindergarten. So you can do all these ridiculous things, get away with it, and make a difference in the child's thinking. So don't be embarrassed to do it. And if someone's watching you, they'll learn something that they didn't know before. Okay. Questions, comments, discussion?
So ma'am, my learning of the day is if someone is watching you, they'll learn something out of you.
Right?
So ma'am,
You never know. Yeah, Charu.
Yeah, the story contained all the vowels like I, U, O. So we'll do it when we are done with all of them at the last.
You'll do it right now. You'll do it with the sound of the short U, with Gus and gum and this. The point is, by now, you are getting to the point of some revision. But this also has tug and bug that has those sounds in it. That it also does revision, great. But the letter U in the short form of doesn't have that much vocabulary. So we have to capture whatever we can. And, you know, in its own way, this is kind of a sweet story. Tim is in trouble, and then the big dinosaur, whom they remember from the previous book, a couple of books back, comes and they become pals. And there's a lot you can talk about here. They cannot do a lot of response writing at this group age. Normally one could say to an older group, okay, tell us what happened when Al and Tim met. So an older class could write, they become friends, they help each other, they have fun together. But your kids can't do that, but you can talk about it. So Tim has a pal, his pal is Al. So what do you think about that? What do you think about how Al and Tim become friends? What did they do together? Oh, look, they sat in the mud. So you can pull out as much as you have time for if you really read these stories deeply. And I know, look, there's a 16 pages of very little text, but it's amazing how much is in them. How about the fact that here, poor old Tim is lying upside down in the hot sun and he could die. Luckily, Al comes along. So what kind of an animal do you think Al is? Yeah, he's probably a dinosaur. How does he behave? Is he mean? Is he nice? Oh, he's nice. So what does he do that's so nice? He helps Tim. So there's so much here. So don't be worried about revision and is it something when do we do it? Look at it as a learning opportunity for yourself and your kids, okay?
First year will be a bit challenging. Second year, we don't need the books also to read.
Well, yeah, you kind of memorize them without wanting to. Remember, you're not doing any of this under the best circumstances. If we go back to school in April, you're not doing this until, my goodness, these books you won't be doing till about January, over a year from now.
So till then,
Okay.
they will have we'll have more training, like trainings also, and we will have done 3 short sounds before you. So I think till the time we'll reach you, kids will be well versed with the pattern of guided reading and everything.
Yeah. And so will you.
Yeah,
Right.
so will be the teachers. Yeah.
If you take a minute to actually read these lesson plans, they're virtually the same. In fact, to be honest with you, sometimes I can cut and paste from the previous book and then just make the changes.
Right.
Because it's almost the same. Now, some of the activities, and for you guys,
Yeah.
it's even simpler. The older classes, of course, I have to make a lot of changes, but once you get it, you'll have it.
Mostly the lesson plans are same. I have gone through them.
Yes.
Almost they are same. Yes, we have to go through them again and again.
That's why Barkha ma'am was asking, are there 2 books or 3 books? The third book was one vowel I. So that's
Yeah,
why.
that's not vowel
It-
I. That's not vowel
it's-
I, ma'am. The
No,
name is Tim, but the
he happens,
content is of short vowel U.
it's about mud and bug. Let's
All
see,
sounds are
bug,
there in that.
tug.
Yeah, but
Yes.
we found it in that lesson plans, in those lesson
It's
plans.
okay,
Yeah,
we can
and
change it. We can change
it's
it.
true that there's a lot of revision, but isn't that good? And in any case, except for, I mean, this is 16 pages, so this is a little more substantial story. The thing about the gum, it really has 8 pages, and it's about gum and jug and tub. It doesn't have much depth. It's just really focusing on okay. But what's the girl's name? Val. They could have given her a name with an U sound, but I can hardly think of any English name that would have a U sound in the middle of it. But so again, let's don't over focus on old concerns like revision and testing and assessment. Let's just focus on what we have in front of us, which is getting the children to read English words.
Actually, it is
Okay, what
good to
else are you
have the
thinking?
revision of all the sounds at this point of time when we have done 2-3 sounds.
Well, yeah, and in fact, I mean, every lesson has that in its own way. As I mentioned in Gus, you've got all of your sight words, is, has, right on the first page. Has, in, the, and. The sight words are continuously revised. So I don't think you're going to have a problem with sight words, although that was a concern earlier on. And we may find, I don't remember offhand, when we look at the last sound of like in red, you might find a lot of revision there too. Now there are, and this is something Barka and I have kind of talked about a little bit, there are 5 more books which are truly intended as revision. It says short vowel review. That's what it is. But I'm discussing with Barka that probably we will not use these in upper KG at the end, because I think you'll have plenty to take you right through early March. But if we find you have occasion and would benefit from doing a couple of these revision books, you can. But I'm also going to propose that class 1 start with these in April, because we need to be sure they've got their short vowels before they go into the more complex long vowels and blends. So there will be plenty of material for you folks to work with right through the middle of March. We'll have to see how it oozes out. And if you have enough with what we're doing, leave it. If you feel you need a couple more books to get you through the end of February at least, we have something, okay? So don't be worried about what am I going to do with the time. We'll fill it up for you. Some people are not smiling. Oh, thank you. What else?
Yes, teachers, any more questions or doubts or thoughts?
So it looks like everybody else is fine. Nobody else has any thoughts to share?
I think we are thorough now with this pattern, because it's now the you.
Yeah, how many times do we have to do it?
Right.
One more time now.
One
On
more
Monday.
time. And one more time. And then when the rubber hits the road next year, that's really when we'll find out what we know. And that's where the continuous support will be available.
Yes.
Okay, good.
And I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that the session starts this April so that things get smoother for us also.
Yes, really and truly. Really. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the vaccine situation is here. It's going to be so hard to get.
I got to go through a study today, and it was mentioning till to 2022, we'll be getting only 1 out of 4 vaccinated by the vaccine.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's really challenging.
Yeah. And I personally don't know for sure which vaccine India is going to go with and how effective it is. So that's another point. Anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
fingers
since
crossed.
teachers don't have anything else to share, so taking this as the last note, thank you so much, ma'am, for today's session, and we'll be surely meeting next Monday for short E sound.
All right, good.
Till
Thank you,
then,
everyone.
Till then, everybody, please
Thank you
go
so
through the
much, ma'am.
curriculum map and get your doubts
Surely.
ready to
Okay,
ask
Christine.
on Monday.
Sure,
Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much, ma'am. Thank
ma'am.
you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye to all. Bye,
Thank you
ma'am.
so much,
Bye to
ma'am.
all.
Thank you,
Bye,
Peggy.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Barka ma'am. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much, Alisa.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
मीनाक्षी मैम सबको भेज के जाएंगी
हंसी नहीं रुक रही थी। बाय चारू मैम, बहुत ज्यादा